Man, I haven't read Raymond Carver since way back in high school, so this was definitely a trip. Hello, interwebs, and welcome to my review of the latest episode of Marvel's Secret Invasion. This time, episode 4, I believe we're on, Beloved. And apologies before we get started. I am out and about right now and not at my apartment, hence why you are not seeing my beautiful, lovely face on camera. So you're just getting my sexy, audio waveforms. And I'm sure my audio waveforms are just as beautiful, right? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna end there. So apologies that you're not getting me on camera, but let's get into the review. So for this episode, I think this was actually one of the stronger episodes of this series so far. Now, to be fair, I haven't really loved this series at all for all the reasons I've talked about in previous weeks, so that's not saying all that much. But it was one that I found a few different scenes throughout the episode that I actually really enjoyed. That being said, there are still the telltale signs of where I ultimately think this series is going that I am just very concerned about, let's just say, and leave it there for right now. And we'll get into a little bit of detail in a second, starting with the scenes between Nick Fury and his wife. I haven't really felt a strong connection between her and Fury. It just felt like the show shoehorning them into a relationship to get me to try and care about her, to have this personal connection to Fury, and that's still the case here. However, this episode gave me a much better sense of the chemistry between the two actors, and so when we get that opening scene with the Raymond Carver quote where she says she wants to be beloved and all of that jazz, and having it be right after the Avengers film, I actually thought that to be a sweet scene. It's not, I don't think they're the strongest relationship. I'm not going to be really upset if anything happens to one of the two of them or anything like that. I'm not really invested in their relationship, but it was a good enough scene that I was like, okay, that's sweet. And made the later scene where she confronts him and is almost going to possibly kill him work a lot better than I think it would have without that opening sequence. And I will say that scene between the two of them was really, really strong. If we had gotten much more time with Fury's wife, like in a previous series or movie in the MCU, and she had been established in some sense, I could have seen that scene actually really, really working effectively. As it stands, it's still a good scene, but it's not built off of any solid foundation to make it read as strong as I wish it could have. But if it had been built on a solid foundation, that scene on its own works really, really well. Speaking on Fury and his wife, we also get the reveal that, shocker of shocks, Rhodey is a Skrull. I don't think anyone is at all surprised, given he was the one big name in the series, so it wasn't a big reveal. I think everyone was kind of expecting that at this point. But two things with that, it sort of leads to the question, one, how long has this Skrull been Rhodey? Have we seen, this Skrull be Rhodey in previous, Avengers films, like in Avengers Endgame or something? That would be really interesting to see if that was the case. Rhodey's been out of commission since Civil War or something like that. So I'm curious to see where we learn about that eventually. But also, I found it interesting how the show is very casual about his reveal of a Skrull. I thought it would be a big thing where takes off his face and shows that he is a Skrull. But his first scene with Fury's wife and also his scene in the shower, I actually really did like that. That sort of casual offhandedness of that. And I did also like this recurring motif between Rhodey and then also with Gaia of the Skrulls wishing to be able to be themselves, to show their skin, to not have to assimilate into, this larger culture and hide who they are. I think that that's actually a really great theme. And I loved actually Gaia sort of calling out her father in that one scene when Ben Mendelsohn sort of says, hey, we can be one of the good ones, if we stop this, insurgency with Gravik and, we make the president see that we go to him and say, hey, we just saved your planet, we can work within this system, we can, they'll see who we are, despite the, decades of systemic injustice that they've done to us and all that jazz, but we'll show them who we really are. And I'm just like, oh, you sweet summer child. I did like Gaia calling him out on that and sort of walking away saying you're delusional. That being said, it does lead me to the final sequence of the episode where we have the president being saved by Fury and Ben Mendelsohn's character, and I'm worrying that ultimately that is going to be what's proven true. Ben Mendelsohn gets, I'm forgetting his character's name for some reason, gets killed in this sequence by Gravik, and hey, we have another death, ending with this episode as well. Just like last episode with, except for Guy, it wasn't really dead. It was a fake out death, and I already explained my problems with that frustrating storyline in my review last episode for two reasons. They went with the lesser of two evils, but it was still a terrible choice to do the fake out death with her. And, it looks like this is a more solid one, that he's actually potentially dead, but I do worry that is going to lead to the exact storyline that I thought it was going to, which is like, hey, he's going to prove that you can be one of the good ones, and his self-sacrifice will prove to the president that Skrulls are good, actually. There's just a few of the bad ones. And again, that sort of like, self-sacrifice, leading of a minority proves like they can be made part of the system or whatever. And it's just like, that misunderstands how systemic injustice works and just feeds into the self-sacrifice hero narrative. Be one of the good ones and give yourself up for people who never cared about you in the first place. Like the president, I don't even think the president technically knew, but it's just like, oh, kill yourself for the system that never cared about you, and maybe they'll care about you after you're dead. And it's like, I hate that narrative. I hate that type of storyline. It is a deeply problematic one on numerous reasons, not the least of which is just saying to minorities, like, yeah, you suffer, and you'll eventually earn your place, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, or die so that you can be part of the system. And I really dislike it, and I worry that is where this story is going, despite it having a very clear grasp, it seems, with the guy I seen earlier of like, why that's kind of bullshit. So we'll see where this story ends up going. But just again, I just don't have a trust in Marvel. But hey, maybe in these last two episodes they can pull it out. So I'll give them the grace to not assume, but I have my reservations given where this went. The only other thing that I should mention is I didn't really like the scene between Rhodey and Fury. I get why it's there with like Fury like putting the tracker in Rhodey and kind of confronting him a little bit about being a Skrull, but it just seemed kind of dumb of Fury to like do that, put himself in danger in that way, especially since he knows that this Rhodey Skrull wants him dead, which I'm actually surprised that this Rhodey Skrull didn't just kill him right there. Very clearly, he should have killed Fury in that moment. And then also, on the other side of it, I am kind of surprised. There's this bit where Rhodey Skrull says, who's going to believe you that an AI, an extraterrestrial are taking your place? And I'm like, you live in the Avengers universe. Thanos came to Earth. Like, did you not see Infinity War where like aliens landed in New York City? Like, I feel that people will be like, it's at least plausible so that Fury was like replaced by somebody or whatever. So like, I don't know. It just seemed very dismissive of the fact that this takes place in the MCU. But otherwise, like I said, one of the better episodes of the series, but still not one that saves this show from the myriad of problems and concerns that I have. So that's my review of this episode of Secret Invasion. Love y'all and take care of yourselves. And I'll hopefully be on camera with my beautiful face next week. Live long and prosper.